Hey everyone, time for Puzzle Talk, the geocaching puzzle podcast brought to you by the Geocache Talk Network. If you'd like to become a patron, click on the Become a Patron heart on the front page of the Geocache Talk website, or head on over to patreon.com/geocache talk for more details. Actually, it's not a heart anymore. It just dawned on me. The patron link. Patrons get the now famous blackout coins and other geocaching items during the year, as well as bonus content, invites to special events only for patrons, which I'll mention in a minute in the news about a special event. And support levels start at as little as Bison Tube level. That's just $3. $3 a month. I was going to say a cup of coffee, but I don't think you can get a cup of coffee for $3 anymore, but you get the idea.
You can at a certain place with these golden arches.
Yeah, you could probably still get it. But it's not much.
Their competitor.
So buy us a cup of coffee and become a patron.
Even the overpriced joint, you used to be able to get one for $2 for the Americano stuff.
And you get a free coin. Well, help us out.
That's right.
Go join while after the show. Here are your hosts, Charles Watkins, aka Pathfinder 33, and Tom Brotherman, Electric Waterboy. Good evening, gentlemen.
Even though he's an airhead.
Is he? I
used to be a water boy. Now I'm an airhead.
Are you an airhead? Okay. I don't think you're an airhead.
I've been one since June of 2004.
Is that air conditioning? Is that what you
want? No, air permitting for the power plants.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I used to do water treatment for the power plants. That's where the electric water boy came from.
And before we get started actually into the news, which we'll do in a second, you'll love this, Charles. Now that you're living closer to Texas, kind of, maybe not. You're kind of you're on a parallel.
I'm close. I'm closer to El Paso time-wise,
right?
Than I was Amarillo. Well, text line when I was living in Colorado. So
yeah. Well, I don't. So
it's a technicality.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, you're still far enough away that you're not affected by this. And I don't know if Tom got this notification, but I got one, or we got one here in Greenville, that ERCOT is having troubles and they want you to stop using power.
I saw that.
Yeah, we got that to reduce my use thing. You know what I said to that?
What?
I said
no.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had to censor that.
You censor it. Yep.
I reduced my use in February for 18 hours at a time. So no.
Yeah.
Sorry, ain't gonna happen.
Ain't gonna happen. All right. I got two news items. I got one, and then I'll turn it over to Charles. So let's do a little bit of news. I did want to mention that next Tuesday is our 5th Tuesday, and people go, "It's not the 5th Tuesday." I know, but it's our 5th Tuesday. If you do a weird puzzle thing, it's the 5th Tuesday. Because at the ends of the month, which means the end of the month and the beginning of the month, there's a little section in there that's Gadget Talk. Go listen to the Gadget Boys anytime you want to. Middle of the month are the Puzzle Boys, and sometimes there's a 5th Tuesday. In this case, it's the 4th Tuesday of a month with 5 Tuesdays. Okay, I'm rambling, but we are going to play a new game on our patron party. It's a murder mystery one. It's mostly kid friendly, I think. So if you have kids in the room, I don't think it's going to be a problem.
People are dying.
People are dying. Well, not people. They're little puppet guys. So, if you don't want to have kids in the room where you talk about, because in the game he goes, go down to this room unless you die. And if you die, you actually can still win the game. That's another thing. But that's for the patrons. That's next Tuesday. And that's all I'm saying about that. I'm turning it over to Charles.
Zombie detective.
All right. So Puzzle Talk merch is available in the store, though you're not going to find these. The coins are sold out. So the only way that you can get a coin is to solve the puzzle on the back of the shirt, which has been done. So it can be done.
Can be done.
And actually go to the location to find where I have hidden one of these coins and one of my personal trackables. So both of those are hidden in the Tupperware that looks identical to this without the Altoids can in it.
Interesting.
So it is a Tupperware. This is the dimensions of the hide of what you're looking for because it came in a 2-pack.
Right.
And so here's the other one.
Cool.
This is hidden at the location. And there is a trackable coin and a personal trackable of mine in there for the first person to solve the puzzle and then get to said location.
Yes.
There you have it.
Perfect.
So if you want some Puzzle Talk merch, it is still available. Some of it is in limited quantities. So if you want some of it, get there and get it before it's sold out. You can go to chromiaprint.com/collections/geocaching, or you can go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the store tab at the top. It will take you straight there.
Exactly.
Houston, Texas, Dave, I didn't say where. It is somewhere in the continental United States.
Is it cooler where that is than where I am?
It's cooler than where I am.
Ooh, now there's some interesting. You're giving more out than like Forrest Fenn gave out. So,
but it was like 116 here today, so there weren't very many parts of the country that were warmer than where I'm at today.
You actually gave the coordinates. You gave the coordinates to people. Why can't they go travel there? I don't understand.
Right, exactly. And we're going to do the giveaway for the audio listeners. So I got 12 correct responses.
Awesome.
I got 14 responses.
Right. 14.
But I reached back out. I reached back out to those incorrect ones and let them know that was technically incorrect.
Right.
And so then they went back and revisited said show, came up with correct answers. So all 12 people who sent me a response eventually all got correct responses. So I have built a Chrome tab, a picker wheel.
We want to say what the correct response was?
So the correct response was blue hole. Now,
that's right.
Blue hole, as in blue circular hole, not WHOLE, though I got a variety of answers. I got blue HOLE, blue hole. I got blue, the color blue, WHOLE, blue hole. I got BLEW, blue.
What? Why?
HOLE, right?
Right.
And then I got BLEW, WHOLE.
What?
Somebody listens with the automatic captions on.
Oh, that's it.
So they must be, because they came in and said, this is what the caption said.
Right.
But it sometimes is wrong. So gave me all the possibilities. Spelling options. So it was blue hole. It is a diving spot off the coast of Belize, and is the final to one of the. I may not have published it yet, so this may be foreshadowing. It's a answer to a puzzle off of the Puzzle Talk Instagram page that I have made. So if you are not following the Puzzle Talk Instagram page, It is Puzzle Talk Podcast on Instagram. And we have been showing some of the puzzles that we're going to show tonight. But go over there, give it a follow. We try to give out some puzzles during the week that are sort of simple and easy to solve, but are some things that kind of get your brain going. And then they're not just always, you get coordinates, but then I ask you what are at those coordinates. So then you have to take those coordinates, like plug them into Google Earth and come up with whether it was like the Little Mermaid statue or whether it was, Dee's Diner, right? Something like that. And so I ask you usually to tell me what is located at that spot. And you have to do a little more research than just solving the simple Instagram puzzle that I have.
Right.
So that's it. Here are our 12 contestants.
Can I just answer basalt for everything?
Yeah.
Because if I dig down deep enough, that's what you're going to hit.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's all I can say.
Doesn't work.
All right. And so I'm going to throw this out there. Darren Archer from Australia did send in the correct answer, but he also won a coin last week on the show. So if Darren's name, which is up here in the dark green at the top, if he comes up the winner on the first spin, then we're going to send him another limited edition signal trackable that I have, but then we're going to respin for a coin so that we so we'll send him 2 coins. But
that makes sense.
We'll still send you something, Darren, so fear not.
Yes.
All right, so here we go. We're going to spin it and I like this one.
Spin the wheel of picker wheel. There you go. It's starting. It is spinning. Wow, it's spinning fast. It's slowing down. And the winner is Cantai.
So I will reply to their email and let them know that they need to send me their address.
Yes.
And whatnot. And then I will get that in the mail to them as soon as I can. Cool. So there we go. And that is, I think that's everything in the news. That's everything. I looked at the Geocache Talk blog thing that came out today, but there wasn't anything. Oh, wait. No, there was. If you're an iOS user.
Yes.
If you're an iOS user, and you are a premium member, if you go to the official geocaching app on your iPhone, there are some new, what did they call them? I have to go in and look at this. There are some new features that you can enable on your phone. So you have to go to settings, and then down at the very bottom, you won't be able to see it, but it says experimental features.
Hang on.
Right?
Yep.
So down here at the very bottom, there are some new experimental features. It looks like there are 4 of them. There's a Siri shortcut. It'll show your friends list on your profile in the app now. So there's a way that you can turn your friends list on and off. I guess that's for easier viewing of who's winning in the souvenir promotions right now.
Yeah.
And then there are some geocaching details. You can show favorite points on logs, and then you can add or remove favorite points easier from the app. So I know at some point there were some issues with the iOS app and adding favorite points, but you can now add or remove favorite points from the app. So if you have an iOS device and you are a premium member and you use the official geocaching app, there are some new squirrely features that are available for you. And so go check them out. And I'm sure at some point, what will happen is Groundspeak will reach out to iOS users at some point and get some feedback from them.
Yeah, probably so.
There we go.
So is it back to being called just the geocaching app or GC's app and not the when they came out with the new one from way back when, there was a geocaching app and what do we call it, geocaching app or something?
The Geocache app. Yeah. I think this is what did that end up being? I think we're now the Geocache app. I like the classic app back in the day, but that's for another show.
Yeah, the paid one that you got to get. This one, I mean, for me, it's just called geocaching.
I think it was for free, but they finally retired it, and that really.
Oh no, that was the one that you had to pay $4.99 for.
Was it?
Way back in the day? Yes, that was a great app, and it went away because they were doing some other changes and whatnot. And that's about the time that Cashly started to come out. So, anyway, so tools for tonight: you're going to need time, your brain, paper, and a pencil.
Number 2 pencil.
And a keyboard.
Jared want to say MOGA, MOGA, MOGA. So
that's right. That's right. So
MOGA, MOGA, MOGA.
So there we have it. Those are the tools for tonight. Previous tools that we used are in the show notes. So go check those out in the show notes once they publish for last week's show. So here's a little backstory for that. We were asked, both Tom and I, before the MOGA Mega, if the Puzzle Talk team would be willing to provide the puzzles for this year's MOGA Mega puzzle competition. Yeah, I've never been to the MOGA Mega, though now that I've created puzzles for it, it makes me want to go next year.
Right.
To wherever it is in Illinois. Right?
We could be a team.
Casey.
So Jared came in third. So
interesting.
That's okay, Jared. You won't spoil it because in the show notes I'm going to give you all 10 puzzles. I'm going to give you all 10 puzzles that I created for the puzzle competition, and I'm going to give you all 10 solutions in the show notes. So then you can take these puzzles, tweak them to fit your own, and create new puzzle caches with them. At least that's the goal.
Now that's a deal.
Right? And you know what? It for just $9.99 a piece.
It's only $3 a month. Oh, sorry. It's free, but you can give us $3 a month if you'd like. I'm kidding.
So of course, when Jesse had asked, I was super excited about the offer, and I told Jesse that I would greatly make the puzzles for the Mega.
Mm-hmm.
Then I asked him, I accepted and then inquired to him what the limitations were. And he told me that they needed to be able to be solved by hand, that the puzzle competition people would not have access to the internet, would not have access to their telephones, as far as looking up stuff, would not have access to any outside help. It's whatever they brought into the puzzle competition with them. They needed to be, set out and then get progressively harder. He said it was okay if all puzzles were solvable, because then it would be based off of who solved all 10 first. But they needed to be 10. They needed to get progressively harder. That they had no real access to outside stuff, and so really they needed to be solved by hand. I did tell him that one of the puzzles they needed to either have access to a keyboard, have access to a picture of a keyboard, a print off of a keyboard. I'm not sure how he provided that keyboard, but they needed to have access to a QWERTY keyboard for one of the puzzles. And so I would assume that at some level they probably just found a picture of a keyboard online and then printed off pictures of it. But I don't know. Jared could probably let us know.
Wow.
So from my understanding,
called 2 last time and 1. Well, that's not any fun. solve
Yeah,
two,
well, yeah.
and win. I mean, it's cool for you, but I mean, if
So
there was 10, only 2 solved, that's kind of a bummer.
Jared, I don't know how many you did solve, but whoever
said 7.
Well, the person who came in first, if I recall correctly, told me that he had solved 7 of the 10.
Okay.
Right.
I got it.
So 7 or 8 of the 10. He did reach out to me and want specifics on a couple because he said we couldn't figure out how to solve it. Okay.
I was gonna say this was last week's. Oh, paid the $10 fee. Wow, they weren't nickel and diming you to death, I guess. But yeah, and that was last week's show. Good question though, and yes, it's possible for a phone to capture a QR code that's posted because we tested that last week. We pulled up QR codes on the screen and did it. Yeah. Right.
Yep. And so, all right. So there's our answer. He got 5 of the 10.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So first place, from my understanding, got 7 of the 10 solved. So anyhow,
you basically need a puzzle, something like Keith does in FTF Geocacher, where
that's true.
All you got. So you grab the FTF Geocacher, you run in the bathroom, you lock the door so it already bothers you. You realize you left your phone outside.
You go back out.
So that's all you got.
Well,
in your brain and some quiet time.
But some of those, though, Tom, aren't some of those puzzles you'd want to use a computer for, or no?
To check your solution at the end, yeah.
Okay.
To see what's there.
Still very cool, though, to come up with puzzles, and I like this idea. It's a little different. Is to come up with a puzzle that you can solve with pen and paper is kind of unique, I think, nowadays.
Yep. So I did provide the solutions to the 10 puzzles to the people there for the MOGA competition, with an explanation on how to solve the puzzles. Mm-hmm. That way, in case somebody wanted to argue, they at least had my explanation in writing. It sounds like they did not share any of that with people who were at the competition.
Right.
Even after the competition was completed. So here we are.
Does that mean you may see him again in the future?
Hey, John.
That's right. And then for our audio listeners tonight, we will do our best to try and describe some of these puzzles for you.
Yes.
But know that this is something that is visual, and you will, if you want to see what the words are about, please go find our show notes after the show has published and look at a copy of the show notes, because all of the puzzles are in there. All of the explanations on how to, all of the instructions that I put on the puzzles are all on the show notes,
right?
Along with the solutions. So please go and look at them. If you're sitting here listening as an audio listener and are just not able to follow along, we apologize for that. But tonight's show is almost completely visual.
Yeah, we'll paint the picture. We'll create a little visual theater, but yeah, I agree. We'll do our best.
So all right, so we'll jump right into the first puzzle. Let me share my screen and then share my window, and then
while you're doing that, just finding our way. Johnny's he's far from home. He's all the way up in Washington, but he's doing.
Oh, he's Anacortes. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's doing the Washington Delorme.
He was finishing the counties in California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho.
Okay, cool. That's neat.
And so he's in Anacortes. That's cool out there.
Yeah, very cool.
I've been there in cache there. So All right, so let me see if I can share this screen with you guys. Window, this one, share, add to stream. All right.
Cool.
So in this puzzle, what you are told is that you must start at the red arrow, go the direction of the arrow until you come to the next number of your choosing, right? Then follow that arrow's direction. You will end at a red target with 10 numbers. They complete these coordinates, north 37 and west 087. So you start at the red arrow in the upper left-hand corner. You must end up at the target in the bottom right-hand corner. And somewhere along the line, you need to pick up 10 numbers. Those complete the decimal minutes in the coordinates.
Very cool.
So
it kind of blew my mind when we started, because the first thing my initial thought was, if I go to the right, which is what it's asking me to do, I hit the 2 and I go back left and now I'm stuck. But I loved what you explained, is that I don't have to stop at the 2. I can go.
You can go as many spaces as you want in the direction in which the arrow points.
Right.
So you can start at the arrow and go all the way down to the 3 at the end.
Right.
And then at the 3, you follow the 3's arrow and come back to the 4. And then at the 4's arrow, you need to come diagonally down to the next 4, right?
Yeah.
And then follow that arrow to, say, the 6, and then follow that arrow to the 8, right? So it's going to look something like that. You need to go down till you get to the number that you want, and then follow that number's arrow. Of course, that is all incorrect.
It's okay.
Well, okay.
Right?
So,
it's interesting, though. Go ahead.
And so,
what do you think?
This is one I don't follow. So
it's fine.
Okay, so you go to the right. I understood how you started. You go to the right till you pick one.
Right.
So what's the right one? What is the right one?
4.
Okay, so at the 4, I'm going to go at a diagonal down. Now, how do I know where to stop?
When you run out of spaces, in this case, when you run out of diagonals, so you could go to the 7, the 4, or the 2. You're going to pick one of those 3.
Right. And you don't. So the end result is that you have to have 10 numbers and you have to end up in the target, right? So sometimes it is easiest to work backwards initially, right? So
yes.
If you look at this red target down here, you need to find which ones point to the target. Well, you only have 3 real options, right? You have this column on the far right.
Yep.
You have the row at the very bottom, and then you have this diagonal down the middle, right? Now, which numbers point?
Rule out the diagonal.
So the diagonal is ruled out.
Yes.
So in both the row and the column, you have a number that points to the target.
So it's got to come from either the 5 or the 3.
So you know that your coordinates are going to end in either a 5 or a 3. You just don't know which one yet.
Yeah. GT Buzz
right?
says they said they worked it backwards, which makes sense.
Right. And so this is some of that for me is sometimes easier to work it backwards. So, all right. So let's look at it like this. Let's say that your final number is going to be the 3, and you're going to work this 3. Now you have to get to the 3.
Yeah.
So you look down this row.
Can't get there. Oh, you can. No, you can't. You can't get there from that row.
You can't get there. So look up this column. Can you get to 3 from up here somewhere?
No, you cannot.
Can you get there from the 5 pointing to the 3? So on the diagonal, this diagonal? No. But can you from this diagonal?
Yeah.
From this 3, right? So if you work it backwards, You come here, and then you go to this 3.
Yep.
Right? Now,
that's workable.
From this 3, you have to work backwards again. And you have to look up and down the column, right? You can't get there going up and down.
Nope.
Can you get there going side to side across the row?
Yep.
You can.
I see
right?
one, right? The 8.
Can you get there from the other diagonals? Right? So can you get there from going this diagonal?
No, you can't get there from any of those diagonals.
So the only possible way to get to the 3 is from this 8.
Right.
Right? Now, looking at this 8, can you get to this 8 from any other number on the board?
You can't get it from a column.
You can't get it from the column.
Because none of the columns point in the right direction.
You cannot get it from the row that it is on. Now look at the 2 diagonal directions, right? So the 2 diagonal directions are going to be this way and going to be this way. So can you get to the 8 from either of those diagonal directions?
Can't get there from here.
No. So what does that tell us?
We're on the wrong path.
That 3 does not get us there.
We're on the wrong trail.
So now you need to start at the 5. So now you know that 5 gets you there.
Yeah.
Right? And now when you look at the 5 down here in the bottom right-hand corner, if you look across the row, do either of these other 4 numbers point to the 5?
Nope.
If you look at the column that's here, do any of these numbers point to the 5?
Yes, the 7 does.
The 7 does. Now let's look in the diagonal, because the diagonal is still an option. Is the diagonal going this way point to the 5?
No.
No, sir. So we know that it has to. You have to get to the 5 from the 7, right?
Right.
So now that you're at the 7, you have to do the exact same process, looking both up and down on the column, side to side on the row, and then on each of the diagonal planes.
That 3 is pretty good. Yep.
So there's a 3 right here that looks pretty good. Yep. And there is a 1 down here in the bottom that's pointing diagonally up as well. Right?
Yep.
So then you have to make a choice. This is your choose your own adventure book. Right? Which one is going to be the correct path for you?
Right.
Right. And so you can solve this one by working backwards through it. And you will get to a couple of spots like this where you have to either venture off. This is why we asked you to bring a pencil, so that you can erase your lines. Right.
Yes, exactly.
So you kind of have to fish through it, or you just, so we're going to say it's the 1. So when you're looking at the 1, go across the row at the bottom. None of them point to the 1. Look on the diagonal, both this way and this way. Yep. Neither way of the diagonals get there, but if you go up the column, the 6 will get you there.
Yep. I like this puzzle. This is very different. I like it. And I'm glad you're sharing with everybody too. So it'll be in the show notes, and I'll put the show notes up a little later tonight so people want to see it. Geocache Talk. Currently, they're all in one location. We're gonna branch them all out. So all the Puzzle Talk show notes will eventually get moved under the Puzzle Talk section, but bear with us. We haven't gotten to that. We haven't had a chance, but yeah, that's a cool puzzle.
Right. So we'll go through and solve this from the beginning for y'all, because I already told Tom the very first number is a 4, right? So we're going to go to the 4, and in the 4, let's see, we're going to come down to the 2. The 2, we're going to go over to the 5. The 5 is going to take us to this 8. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this 8's going to take us down to the 3. So those are the rest of your north coordinates, 4, 2, 5, 8, 3. From this 3, you're going to take a U-turn and go up to the 0. From the 0, you're going to come over to, hey, look, we've already been to this 6 before when we were working it backwards, right? The 6 goes down to the 1, up to the 7, down to the 5, and then to pay dirt, just like that.
Yep.
And so that is how you solve this puzzle, but it takes some manipulating. It takes a little thinking outside the box, and sometimes working the puzzle backwards is the easiest way to do it because you know where you have to end up. You know where you know that you're going to end up in that bottom right hand corner. And so if you can process of elimination, work some of that backwards, and by working it backwards, we made it all the way up here to this 6. And really, if we kept going, there's only one number that points to the 6, right, and it is the 0, right? And so when you get to so when you get to the 0 and you look at it, there's only one number that points to the 0.
Yep.
Which is the 3 at the bottom.
Yep.
Now this is where it gets tricky because you have 2 8s in a row that both point to the 3, right? And you have a 7 over here that points to the 3.
Right.
So there then become multiple options and rabbit holes that you have to run down. And when time is the essence, like
during a puzzle competition,
right? When time is matters and is on the line, you need to work as quickly and as efficiently as you can.
A little different situation. So Karen's asking, what kind of difficulty would a puzzle like this be? Do you have an idea of what, or one you've done? Do you have kind of an idea of what you would do for a difficulty for that?
Yeah, give me just a second to pull up. Believe it or not, this is one of my published puzzle caches on my geocaching page. It's located in Southwest Colorado. So if you ever make it to Southwest Colorado, I'm going to show you a couple of my own puzzle caches that I have published. And this is one of them. So let's see.
Oh, interesting.
I'm going to tell you, I got to look at these before the MOGA thing because he shared them with me, but he didn't give me he did have the solutions, but I didn't jump straight to the solutions. I tried to solve them.
Right.
And so this one to me initially was a 6. Because I couldn't solve it. I didn't have a clue. I didn't get it. But now that he's done it, I'm like, oh gosh. Okay.
Right.
So I'm gonna guess 3.5.
3?
4.
4. Okay, that makes sense.
So I have it listed as a 4.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that I'm right. That doesn't mean that that's what you would share yours as. But that is what I have mine published at.
Yep.
The next one that I have
mileage may vary.
Yep. That's right. The other one, the next one that I'm going to show is also a maze style puzzle.
Okay.
And it is also listed as a 4.
Okay.
So, and it is out in the Montrose area as well. So if you're out in,
there's for Phil it was an 8, but that's kind of like Tom. It's
all right. So this next one that you're going to get, you have a maze. For our audio listeners, there are random numbers throughout the maze.
Yeah.
These are the rules and the text in which you get the cache. It says you must enter and exit at the black square. So in one far lower right-hand corner of the maze, there is a black square. Right. You must enter and exit at the black square. You enter and go to the left and exit from above and use the white paths only. Write down the numbers in order as you pass them, and when you are finished, you will have the 10 missing numbers from the coordinates. The first 5 finish the missing north coordinates, and the second 5 finish the missing west coordinates.
Right.
there are 2 rules. 1, you can only make right-hand turns. 2, you cannot cross the same number twice. Right? So, let me share my screen here with you, gentlemen.
Interesting. Didn't they determine that right turns was better for FedEx and UPS drivers or whoever because it's quicker to make
longevity of tires? I don't know.
Longevity of tires.
All right, so here's your maze, right? Down here in your bottom right-hand corner is your black square. So you must enter and go to the left, so we already know which direction that we're going to go, right?
GT best that worked that one backwards too.
Right. So this one I have is a difficulty 4 puzzle. The fun thing about this one is that I believe mine, I have rotated this puzzle 90 degrees and then told you that you can only make left-hand turns. And so I've changed some of the instructions on my own cache page, but working it backwards and making only left-hand turns is the same as working it forward and only making right-hand turns, right? So regardless of how you get there, the path is going to be the same. So when you start at the black square and go left, right? You can come to here and make a right-hand turn.
That's true.
Right?
But then how are you going to make it?
But you have to make another immediate right-hand turn.
And then another right-hand turn.
And then another right-hand turn, and it takes you right back and loops around itself. That's key here.
That's that they may come in handy later, but not right now. It won't.
Right. So you come down, you come down to the end, and you make a right-hand turn.
Yep.
Right. So
we pick up a number,
and you're going to pick up a number. The question now is, do you stop here? Between the 2 red bricks, or do you come all the way up to the blue brick at where you dead end at?
And then make a right turn,
and then make a right-hand turn. So you can right-hand turn here.
You could potentially
and come down here, and then make another right-hand turn,
right?
And then you got another right-hand turn, and then another right-hand turn.
And you've only gone over the numbers once, although you backed over yourself, and
that's okay to back over yourself. Now you can make a right-hand turn here,
right?
But then you have to come down to the end, and then you get stuck.
Now you're stuck. That is not going to work.
So you can't do that one.
Nope.
Right?
Nope. You can't go that way.
So you can come all the way up to the blue brick where you dead end.
Yep.
And you can come all the way down here to the end of the 5, but we already know where that took us on our last merry-go-round.
Yes.
You can make a right-hand turn, another right-hand turn, another right-hand turn, another right-hand turn, right? Another right-hand turn.
Oh,
you didn't go over the 5 twice yet.
Okay, we missed the number, right? I see it now.
But once you get into this crazy cycle right here,
now you're stuck.
Right now you're stuck in this kind of going around in this area.
Yeah, now you are stuck.
So that's not a viable option. What is a viable option is coming to here and going down the 6.
Down the right.
Right? Yeah. And stop here because this is the only place you can go to make a right-hand turn.
Yep.
Right? You come all the way down to the end, you make another right-hand turn.
Right. Right turn.
Right?
Yep.
You make a right-hand turn here and come down just shy of getting to this other 4, and you make a right-hand turn.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right? Now that gets you where you can get all the way up into some of this mess up at the top.
Yeah.
So you right-hand turn it,
and
you can do just like that.
Clever.
Right?
Yep.
So now you can see at some level this is going to take you making loops around yourself.
Yes. You just don't want to hit a number. Well,
you can't hit a number twice. Now, if we did like MJ Buzz said and start backwards, right?
Yep.
You can go up and make a left-hand turn.
Yep.
Right? But if you left-hand turn here, you left-hand turn, and then you left-hand turn into a dead end.
Yeah. Then
right. So you can't go that way. Right.
Yeah.
But the same concept is here for left-hand turns.
Yeah.
Right. And then a left-hand turn. And then a left-hand turn.
So I don't know if that really helps you much.
Right. It won't help you any because the workings of it are all the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So back up to this where we make a right-hand turn at this corner, come down, and a right-hand turn.
Yeah.
And a right-hand turn. And a right-hand turn.
You have to be strategic, like you said, because now you don't ever want to go back there, but you can get out of there now.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can see where this same pattern of loops is coming into play here. Right. So once you kind of
loops, yep.
Right, very strategic loops. Once you figure some of that out, right?
It'll be pretty loopy by the time you're done with this.
You will be loopy.
A right-hand turn.
And you'll
you
feel
make a
like
right-hand turn.
NASCAR, right? Or
yeah. Woo! He's making a left-hand turn.
Making all right-hand turns.
You know, and so as you come through this,
yep, you can do loop, loop, and get you a couple numbers.
You get this 5.
Oh, I see what you did. Oh, yeah, you're gonna miss it
here, and look at, and now you're
right
back. Now here's the kicker.
Dun,
do we have 10 numbers? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. So there are 10 numbers.
There you go.
We've entered and exited at the black square in the bottom right-hand corner, and we have only made right-hand turns through the maze.
That's nice. That's a slick little puzzle there.
If you're going to make one of these yourself, then the trick would be get the maze part done how you want it, and then go back in and add the numbers.
Right. So you don't mess it up.
So this is what I do.
If you want to hit the easy button, you take this puzzle here and just flip it and call it
or you take this puzzle and you go in and you know which 10 numbers you need to change, and you go in and edit it in MS Paint and make it whatever you want and submit it for publication.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, you can go in and change. So when I was doing these, I go in and change the fonts and change the number sizes and styles. So when you come back and look at this,
that's okay.
You know, you can, when you look at it, you can see that there are little funky text squares around some of this. You at least can see it on my screen in Microsoft Paint. And that's because of how many times I have gone in and changed these puzzles for like my Instagram page or for the cache page, or, you know, and in order to do that, what you do is you take your little white square like that and you copy
over,
and then you paste, and then you just drag this little white square wherever you want it to go.
Yep.
Right. And so now all of a sudden that 9 is no longer a 9.
Yep. You can put a new one. Ta-da,
and then you come up here to your little text block and you text block in, you make it a 7.
Yep.
Right. Just like that. And now it's a brand new puzzle with new coordinates and a new final destination.
Love it. Love it.
And so that's how you do that one. It is in the show notes, and so you can save. They're written in the show notes in a Word file, right? So I've just inserted a picture into the Word file.
Yeah.
So that you puzzle, can.
I was gonna say that puzzle, you could rotate it and make it shown.
Yeah.
I remember years ago I was working on a puzzle that's solved similarly. I guess it's one where you got to move a chess piece and it goes. You got to go so many things and it would go over numbers and you had to do the minimum amount of moves. And I thought, there's got to be an easy way to do this. There's got to be.
Yeah.
And I remember the guy who created it told me once, he says, you can find anything on the internet. And I went looking and I found that same puzzle, but rotated 90 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah. And so absolutely. I mean, and I am not the only place I'm not the only geocaching page that has any of these puzzles on it. I guarantee it.
Oh,
can guarantee it. And if I am, please, somebody make me not the only one, right? Please, they're good puzzles. Take them, change them, move them about, and republish them as your own, unless you live in the Denver area. Because if you live in the Denver area, both of the first two puzzles are already published. They're in your greater area.
How about that?
People there know how to solve them.
All right, number 3.
So number 3 is a what is called a signpost. It is very similar to the first puzzle, except there are a bunch of blank holes in it.
Okay.
And it looks like this. Let me make that bigger for.
No problem.
Let me make this screen bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So that may be too big.
That's not bad. You can always.
All right. So what this is called a signpost, and it is 100 squares.
Okay.
It is similar to the very first one. The number 1 is in the upper right-hand corner. You were trying to get to the 100 in the bottom left-hand corner.
Okay.
In order to do that, you have to start at the number 1. The instructions say connect all the squares together in a sequence so that every square's arrow points toward the square that follows, though the next square can be any distance away in said direction. Right?
Gotcha.
So when you start at number 1 up here in the upper right-hand corner, you know that you have to go down.
Right.
When you go down any number until you find a square that looks good for the number 2. In our case, number 2 is already filled in. And it's pointing in the upper right diagonal. And you have to come up here at some level in this upper right-hand diagonal. And one of these blank squares, you have to put a 3 in it.
Oh.
Right? But 3 now has to make it to where this 4.
Oh, that's right. Because there's some numbers are. So what Charles is describing is the 100 squares, some of them have numbers in them, but some do not. That's interesting. And you've got to fill in the numbers in such a way that it keeps the ball rolling, as it were, right?
Correct. Now for this, my simple task for the puzzle at MOGA was just finish it. Right? It wasn't that they needed to get coordinates out of it. They didn't need to, what was in this square or that square. They just had to finish it, right? That was the puzzle.
The exercise.
In the end, what I have seen is where people have gone in and numbered these columns and rows with letters. And then they sit there and tell you that the coordinates are at north 39, H4,
Oh, right, because there's numbers now in all the...
B8, right? And you have to fill it in enough to solve this puzzle.
Gotcha.
And so to solve this puzzle, you just it is
Says,
so
yikes.
Yeah, that's what I said too.
It is time consuming, but you should know that this square right here that is below the 54 and above the 59,
yeah,
that is the square where number 3 goes.
Below the 54. Oh, okay, right. Okay, well, yeah, because it's on an oh yeah, because it's on that angle with the 2.
It's on the diagonal that points up, but is also the only one on that diagonal
point to the 4
that will then point to the 4.
So
right?
then you got to find there's no 5. Is there a 6? No.
But there is a 7.
There's a 7. So you now have to figure out where to put the 5 and the 6 so that it eventually rolls over the 7. I like it.
And so sometimes working backwards from the 7 to the known 4.
Yeah.
If you can say, all right, I need to go down the 4.
Yeah.
Right in this direction, but somehow have to make it to where 6, 5, and 6 get me to 7.
7.
Right. It is not. These are not easy.
Yeah.
There is a computer program that will solve them. That you can take it and build the 100 square, and then you go in and pick which arrow goes in which one.
Right.
Or there are some sort of like a Sudoku solver where it has it pre-printed and you have to put all the arrows in and then put the known numbers in and then hit the solve button and it will solve it for you. I provide the solution to this one in the show notes.
So
yeah, I got 5 and 6.
Yay. So Brad was wanting to know, this is good so people can understand a little more about why wouldn't R3 C6 work for 3? R3 and C6 are
it would have. And Brad, by looking at the solution, you're right. Row 3, column 6 is where 3 goes. It's not between the 54 and 59 because that's where 10 goes. Now that we're looking at the solution.
Okay. That's why.
So, but they are both on that same diagonal. They're side by side. Right. So, but yeah, Brad is correct, and that is a good catch. So,
yeah. 6.
Right.
So it's the one that's to the left of the 59.
Correct.
Okay.
But this is why I provided the solutions to them so that they could
row 6, column 3. But yeah.
Yeah.
You said there's online solution solvers for these things.
There are. If you Google signpost solver, it will provide you several links to websites that are dedicated to solving signposts. And I have seen signpost puzzles as big as 15 by 15.
Ooh.
So this is a 10 by 10. It gives you 100 numbers, depending on how high you needed to go.
Yeah.
A 12 by 12 gets you 144 numbers.
Yep.
So as long as you're not at, like West 156 or 170, or East 170.
Somebody might be. Who knows?
So the difficulty is either 1.5 or 4.5. If you're doing it by hand, it's 4.5. If you're doing it
with
the computer, it's 1.5. And I say 1.5 instead of 1 because you need to find the website without spam on it.
Right. And so they're out there. They exist. Google is your friend, Tom.
Google is your friend.
Google is your friend.
But he doesn't buy beer.
Well, but the hardest part about this is knowing what this puzzle is called, right? And so
I didn't know that.
If you did not know that this puzzle is called a signpost puzzle, you're going to struggle trying to find a solver for it. You go to Google and be like,
"Oh, that's
puzzle,
true."
puzzle with arrows and numbers in a square, right? And see what it comes back with. It took me a while to figure out that this is called a signpost, simply because there was a puzzle that I was trying to solve that was one. I sent it to my brother, who's a math genius, and he said, "Oh, well, that's a signpost puzzle."
On excellent steroids.
Yeah, thanks.
It was a really cool. Thanks, Chrysler King.
So,
cool.
All right, so puzzle
on to 4.
Puzzle 4 is the one that you needed the keyboard for, which
I gotta say, up to this point, looking at your stuff, I felt really stupid.
Well, we don't want that, Tom.
It's kind of cool. You got to put me in my place sometimes.
So the puzzle number 4 was the one that you needed the keyboard for, and it was called QWERTY. That was the only. This is all you got when you looked at it was the word QWERTY, right? QWERTY. If you're unfamiliar with keyboards,
right?
This keyboard right here, which is generally considered the standard keyboard, know that there's more than one type of keyboard, right? But this keyboard right here is generally considered and called a QWERTY keyboard because the first 5 letters, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first 6 letters on the upper right-hand row of letters on a keyboard spell QWERTY, right? So that is a QWERTY keyboard. There is more than one version of keyboards.
Yeah, there's some crazy ones that
there are some. There are some that are in alphabetical order.
Oh gosh!
Starting in the upper right-hand corner, where the Q is actually the A, and the M down there at the bottom is actually the Z, and they go in alphabetical order.
Can you imagine typing on that and trying to type fast? You'd never do it.
Well, it's no different than when you were in like your 7th grade BCIS class and you were looking at this like, how do people type on this? Like the letters aren't anywhere near each other.
I know.
And then you learn.
Yeah. The
so
idea
this
was
one,
I think that all the ones you use the most are closer to are more accessible or on your fingers. But anyway.
Right. So
this one you made me feel good again.
Because you knew what to do.
So you got Q2, A1, Q5, Z3, A6, Q5, A6, Q3, Q0, Q7, Z1, Z1, A9, right? So what is the or Gary, in looking at this, what is the common theme running throughout these through the letters here?
Yeah, you're only using 3 letters in the puzzle there. There's a Q, an A, and a Z.
So look at your QWERTY keyboard. Look down. Where's Q, A, and Z fall?
Very first letter of each row of the keyboard.
All right. So deductive reasoning would tell you that
each row that has letters on it.
Right. So what would Q2? What letter would Q2 equate to?
The W is Q2.
So what would
the Q0 is throwing me?
So what is Q0?
I don't know.
So is Q0 Q?
No, because that'd be Q1.
So what is Q0?
Oh man!
Look at your keyboard. Look at your keyboard.
Q0 is
Q0 is Q0 Q, and so Q1 would be W, and then Q2 would be E.
Yeah, that's the way I would think it would be. Yeah, that's
or is Q0 the letter P?
Oh well, I wouldn't. My initial thought is it wouldn't be. I would think Q0 is Q. That's my initial thought.
Okay.
Well, how many letters over is P? How many letters are on the top row?
10. Oh, 10.
So do you have a Q10
no
anywhere
I
in
see.
this?
Q0 then would be P because it's that's your 10 then, I guess.
That is correct.
Interesting.
So Q2 is where you start on the row Q and run over to where the diagonal for the 2 comes in, and that's at the letter W. So A1 would be
A1 would be S.
Would be A.
It would be A.
Because Q, A, and Z are on the one row.
Or on the one row. Okay, gotcha. Oh, A0. There is no A0 because there's not 10 letters on that one. Okay, I got you.
Correct. So when you go through the puzzle, there is no A0.
Right.
Right. And
there wouldn't be a Z8 because there's only 7 letters on the bottom.
Correct.
But do some puzzles use Z9 to get you your decimal?
Your period? You could. In this case, it spells everything out in words.
Oh, okay.
That's cool. No. But it when you go through this is the one that you needed the keyboard for,
right?
To solve this. But once you figure out the key to it, it solves fairly easy. It says, watch the Puzzle Talk podcast on Geocache Talk Network every second and third Tuesday of the month live on YouTube.
Hey, that's it. It's kind of like
it's a shameless plug promotion, right?
Drink your Ovaltine.
That's right.
What? I love that.
So you could do this 2 different ways. You did it with the 0 being 10, but you could make the 0 be 0.
You could.
So Q0 is be 0.
Q0 would be the Q key where you don't move any spaces over.
That could be that too.
Right. Yeah. So I didn't give you like a checksum or something to try and check yourself. And in the puzzle, it's how it looks on the screen is exactly how it was on the page. There was no spacing. There was no grouping for words. There was no everything was uniform spaced across the board. And so there was no way for you to know where a word began and where one ended based on looking at it. There is a puzzle later on that I created that does. So that's how you solve puzzle number 4.
Okay.
All right. So puzzle number 5.
Go back to 4. Let's play with it. So we already made 2 options. You could either have that 0 be 0 or 10. And another way you could screw with it is instead of spelling out what you're actually saying down there, you do it saying rot 13. Make it a keyed Caesar and QWERTY is your key. I mean, you could get pretty evil with this sucker.
Yeah, you could definitely. Gary was asking, was QWERTY given? Yes, they were given.
Yeah, it was written just like you see it on the screen is how the puzzle was produced. So it said QWERTY and a colon, and that's the only word. That's the only word that was written on the page.
Yeah, but they were given a keyboard during the puzzle competition.
As it is, how would you rate this on a difficulty?
I would probably rank this at. Well,
I wouldn't give it a 4.
I would probably give it a 2.5.
Yeah,
personally, because
I would agree. I figured it out pretty quick, and I didn't know what we were doing, so I think that's
right. I mean, you have a couple of options.
I can figure it out.
But what you just have to do is make it through like the first 5 or 6 letters of the puzzle in each way to say, oh, no, this is because once you figure out the first 5 letters and you come up with the word watch.
Yes, now you're going.
Now it should be fairly easy.
Yeah, the Q0 normally, but I think I would have eventually gotten that Q0 was something else because I would have done I could have done all the rest of the letters and come back to Q0. Then I would have figured out that that's a P. So
I agree with you. It's 2.5. Now, if you go the crazy stuff I was adding to it, then that kicks it up a bunch.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
many options available. Puzzle 5.
Absolutely. So this is puzzle 5, and this is exactly how it looked on the page. At the very top of the page, it says, "Welcome to the MOGA Puzzle Comp."
Yep.
And then it goes into these random groupings of letters and numbers, right?
Yep. E1, O2,
E1,
E2,
O2, E2,
M1,
M1,
G1,
G1, Z2.
And if you listen to the show back in March, you knew how to do this.
That's right.
Z2, O2,
So,
Z1.
Gary, real quickly, count how many letters are in the title of the puzzle. People in the chat room, count how many letters are underlined at the very top. These letters right here.
There are 26. Did I spoil it for the
No,
chat room? Chat room could have gotten it.
No, we're doing just right. So there are 26. How many letters are there in the alphabet?
There are 26 in the English alphabet.
In the English alphabet.
That's right. And since we're in England, ungrateful colonies.
Yes, right.
So if you assigned the W is an A, the first W as an A, right?
Right.
Oh, there's only one W. The first E as the B, the first L as a C.
Yes.
The first C as a E, right? And so if you just went underneath this and went A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z at the end, and then as you come across these letters, above them, you write the number 1. So this first W, the first E, the first L, the first C, the first O, the first M, and now we have E2, right? Because the last E in welcome is the second E in the puzzle. Right? So now you have an E1 and an E2, right? In these first 3 letters. So you have a W, which is E1 is A, or I'm sorry, E2 is B.
B.
Right? And E2 would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Right? Something like that.
So wait, E1 should be the letter B.
Correct.
Okay. All right. I'm following now.
O2 would be this O
the second
in the
O,
puzzle.
Right.
Right.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H.
So it's W, H.
Right.
Right. So when you scroll down, and once you figure out that the title is your key, right? You end up with something that looks like this, right? So you have your 1s through 4s, right? Corresponding to your alphabet, right? So W1 is A, E1 is B, right? O2 is I, E2 is G, right? And the puzzle also has the words grouped, right? So you should be able to come in and find a couple of the like W1Z2. So we already know that W1 is A. What is Z2? So you scroll all the way down here till you get to Z2 is the T. So W1Z2, this word right here, is at. A-T. Right?
Right.
And so you can start going through here and writing the letters for what this actually means underneath. Now, the hard part to this is this. The title being 26 characters. That's the hard part. Right? Because you have to give them something that will work. Right? So the 26 characters in the title is the hard part. I got lucky because I was like, oh, we'll do welcome to the MOGA or welcome to the MOGA Mega. And then I was like, oh, that's not going to work. And I had to go back and redo it a couple of times.
Yeah.
But once I got through it, I was like, oh, all right, perfect.
Well, it depends too on what your final solution was going to be.
Right. So the 26 characters bring it down so that it works out easily with the 26 character alphabet. And in the end, when you decipher all of this, it says Bigfoot is known by many names, including Sasquatch, Yowie, Wood Booger, Yeti, Grassman, Skookum, Urine, and Abominable Snowman. Whatever you call him, we hope you enjoy celebrating him at this year's MOGA Mega event.
Yep, very good.
And so this one took a little work if you didn't understand where all of that would come from. But Tom created a puzzle similar to this for the Texas County Challenge puzzle group.
Cool.
Which he borrowed from somebody else.
That's okay.
But so if you had watched our show previously before coming into this competition, this should have maybe jogged a memory somewhere.
Yep.
So scroll back up just a little bit. There's another way to solve this, and leaving the code or cipher the way you have it spaced out like that makes it easier. If you replaced E1 with A and O2 with B, and you go through the whole alphabet like that,
right?
Then this becomes just a simple substitution cipher.
Yes.
And it's not impossible to do with the words, the spaces like that, so you know the word size.
Right.
But if he had put that all together into one big thing where there's no spaces, that kills that. And then you have to solve it this way.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't
so
say
that's
kills
where
it, but somebody with more brain power than me would have to do it.
Right. But that's the difference between puzzle 4 and puzzle 5. I wanted there to be enough variation in this to where some of these were solvable easier than others, depending on how your brain works. But that tells you how a puzzle creator's brain works also, right? So this puzzle may have been easier than the QWERTY one simply because it's broken down into words, and you can, once you figure out that a letter number combination equals a single letter,
then you're rolling.
Then you're kind of rolling through here.
Yeah.
All right. So this is
Number
Tom's.
7.
I like that one.
You likes beer.
Wait.
I have that as a background to one of my monthly events.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
So the person who came in number 1 in this had reached out about this one too. He didn't understand how to solve the beer puzzle. In this, so for our audio listeners, there is a picture on here that says the very many varieties of beer. And it has circles with child lines going out to all of the different beers. So there's an ale and a lager, ale at the top, lager at the bottom, with a parent line going to the middle. And then off of that, there are numerous children lines coming off of them, pointing to the subtype of adult beverage that it then creates, or is a spin-off of it, right? So you have a lager, you have a German lager, an American lager, a Pilsner, a European lager, right? And so there are multiple beers that come off of one of these.
Yeah. So basically you'll have categories that have subcategories. And
it's a family tree of beer. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say.
Perfect. Yeah. So you have the grandparents who have lots of, they have not that many. They might have a few parents subcategories, and then of the subcategories, there might be only a couple categories.
Right. So in this, I give you North 37, Bach, Strong Pale Ale, American Lager, Pilsner, European Pale Lager, West 087, Warsteiner Premium Dunkel, English Pale Ale / Bitter, Roggenbier, German Lager, and Weissbier. And then I give you a checksum. So the checksum for the south coordinates, all added together, equals 21. Right? So I at least wanted to give you something. Now,
I'll take the Dunkel, please.
It may not be, I don't know if I can blow this up enough to where the viewers can see it. So we're going to take this right here, this European lager.
Yeah.
That European lager equals 3.
Makes sense, because you start with 1, which is interesting. If you don't start with 1, then you're going to be off. All of them are going to be off 1.
Right. So the German, the German lager up here, for the purposes of this puzzle, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equals 8. German lager equals 8. European lager equals 3.
German lager is 8?
Is 8.
Is it the shortest distance?
Nope.
Because I can go from beer to lager to German lager. That's 3 or 2.
Right. So all right, you ready? So it's hard to read it, but this one right here that has no circle around it,
yes,
is called Warka Strong, and that equals 0 for the purposes of this puzzle.
That's a 0? Oh, is there nothing attached to it?
There's nothing attached to it. So there's no sub beer below it, right?
Okay.
So Brad is correct. It's the number of children lines branching off of it, right? So as Warka Strong equals 0, European lager in this case has 1, 2, 3 children lines coming off of it.
Oh, okay.
Right? Whereas the German lager over here, if you count, now you can't count the parent line. The parent line is bigger and bolder and goes back to the beer.
Only the
type.
Children. So German lager, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1,
8.
2, 3, 4.
I counted
5,
7.
6. I count 7. Maybe you meant 7.
No, the German lager.
Zoom into that sucker. Are we looking at the right one?
Because you can't count the one that comes from lager, because lager is the parent. So German lager has,
over here on the right hand side, you have 1, 2,
killer
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh gosh.
1, 2, 3.
Out come the cheaters.
4, 5, 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's 8.
Is there 8?
So it is 8. I promise.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
Dang, and I've only had half of one tonight.
Oh, there is 8. You're right.
All right. So now that we're all in agreement.
Yeah. Sorry.
So the checksum for this was 21. So when you look at the Warsteiner premium Dunkel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to find where the Dunkel's at, right? Yeah. There's a Munich Dunkel. So they're down here in the very bottom right-hand corner. It's hard to read, but it says Warsteiner Premium Dunkel.
Right. So you find one Dunkel, you can find another Dunkel.
That's right. So the Warsteiner has no children line coming off of it.
And actually, that's not a type. That's an actual brand of beer.
I know. I've been to the Warsteiner brewery.
I shouldn't say this too loud. I use this one as a background of event, and then I realize, oh, it's got real beer names on there, but they're so small that nobody notices.
Yeah, minus
right.
the parent branch. All the branches minus the parent.
I'm just curious, what's the beer? Where's the beer on there? It said like rigor mortis or whatever it was, rigor something. I've never heard of that kind.
Wouldn't be rigor mortis.
The Rogan beer.
Rogan beer.
It's German just by the spelling of it.
Yeah.
But no lie, I'd have to look at a bigger, clearer photo of it.
Yeah. Well, I know what I'm doing after the show. I'm gonna look at it. I never heard of that.
It's right up here by the German ale, and it's got one child line coming off of it.
Okay, so it's an ale off the ale, so it's the yeast on top stuff.
It's a German ale. So there you have it. So that's how you solve that one.
I like it.
There were, I've seen a puzzle like that produced before. With a slightly different work to it, but that's how I built it for this one. But by doing the checksum, if you counted it all out correctly, then you would have easily been able to say, yep, that's the way that it works. Or no, this, what I got doesn't equal the checksum and roll on with it.
Back to the drawing board.
So puzzle number 7 says, what you got was just what you can see on the screen right here. It says the geocache is not at the posted coordinates. Wait, there are no posted coordinates. Okay. So to get to the secret squirrel location to have a drink and an amazing pizza or calzone, solve the following puzzle. And I give you north, big B, little b, little h, Q, little h, big L, big E.
Right.
And then west, big I, big B, little q, little q.
Is that a big I or a small L?
Either way.
Okay.
It comes out the same.
Okay.
So in order to solve this puzzle, you kind of had to think outside the box, right? Your north coordinates are listed and your west coordinates are listed. Have you ever done that where you were a kid? I love this because they're doing a Texas Instruments calculator trackable giveaway right now. But have you ever done that deal in school where you tried to spell words out with a calculator and you turned it upside down and it's spelled
you can spell
some obnoxious
hell. You can spell hell.
You just turn this thing upside down.
Oh, there you go.
And now I can read it.
That's right.
Can you read it now?
Good.
Okay.
So by looking at this, if you flip this upside down and then converted this to the closest...
Oh, I can read it now. I'm sorry.
Right? The closest number that the letter identifies as, E equals 3, the big L equals 7, right? So now you read it from right to left upside down. So it would be 3, 7, 4, 6, 4, 9, 8.
8.
And then for the west coordinates, it is 0, 8, 7, 0, 6,
8, 1.
8, 1.
8, 1. And that's how you solve this one.
Nice.
Just hang from the ceiling. It's a piece of cake.
So my thought in this, because there were 2-person teams, is that somebody would be sitting across from the other person and look at it and be like, oh, it's this.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people got this right or wrong and how quickly it took some people.
That's
this one was
devious.
This one was one that the first place person asked me he asked me, said, I didn't understand how to get the secret squirrel one.
Yeah.
And I was like, the secret squirrel one. I had to go back and look at what I wrote and was like, oh, all right, this one. So In order to get it, you just simply flip it upside down, read it backwards, put it on the appropriate line.
The thing that would really throw, I guess, people is the fact that you used uppercase and lowercase. That really.
But you had to do that to make the 6 and the 9 work.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you did a lowercase b, it turns into a 9.
Right. Whereas the uppercase
capital B is an 8.
Is an 8. Right.
Which is tricky. I like that. That's a very cool.
The other side to this is that you notice there are no 2s and there are no 5s. There are no 5s in that puzzle. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Puzzle 8. Tom has talked about this puzzle numerous times.
I love this puzzle.
And when I asked,
you made it your own.
When I asked him for the GC code for the puzzle that he was talking about, he just didn't answer me. And so then I had to take it and make it my own. And I did. So puzzle 8 is the alpha and omega. And what you get is the cache is not at the posted chords. Please solve the following puzzle to find the hidden location for what you seek. Posted coordinates, in case you need them. Are north 37, 42.668, west 087, 06.461. And so when you come down to this, you then get these 17 just random statements.
One thing
questions.
That you can collect. Did you ever take the stairs in tall buildings?
Right. One thing.
Make any bad lunch acceptable. So obviously you don't answer the questions. But
so
go ahead.
If you read down the very first letter in every sentence all the way down, what does it say?
Add 1 minute to the.
So where do you think the rest of this is?
North and west. Add
the last letter, right? What is alpha and omega?
Yes.
The beginning and the end.
A and Z. Or add 1 to the beginning and to the end.
Well, so if you look at the
add 1 minute to the beginning.
Add 1 minute to the, and now read the last letter in every sentence from top to bottom. Posted, posted. COORDINATES.
Posted.
Add 1 minute to the posted coordinates.
Wow.
Is what you get.
That's
right.
Cool. Yep.
So I like number 17. It says excommunication happens in the end if you can't solve these puzzles.
Excommunication happens.
So first and last letters, and if you read them, it says add 1 minute to the posted coordinates. So you come back to your posted coordinates, and you add 1 minute to both your posted coordinates. So 42 becomes 43. 06 becomes 07.
Yep.
Right? And then you turn it in and it is correct.
Yep.
All right. And so puzzle 9, we've done puzzle 9 in a show before where we talked about logic puzzles. I straight up just copied it off of an archived cache because I was strapped for time trying to get the last 2 puzzles in. I straight up 100% copied it from the archived cache page, put it on a piece of paper, and sent it.
It's kind of like Clue, if you want, just for the listeners, right? You're basically eliminating. It's a list of people, and you got a sort of, or a list of. In this case, it's it's a list of people and mileage and
numbers of caches found.
And you basically start to eliminate possibilities as you go until you end up with, like in Clue, you end up with a person, a room, and a weapon.
Correct.
This one's an easy one to make your own just by changing the storyline, changing the names and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Absolutely. This was a local East Texas geocache that I had solved. Was probably one of the last. I think there was one more finder after me before it finally got archived. It was adopted out from a previous owner who had fallen under some bad heads. Adopted out. The person who had adopted it had, I can't remember if they had found it before or not, but they had it, and it kind of had fallen into disrepair. It was about 40 miles from where they lived, and they had taken a job promotion to the supervisor of a zoo out there.
Kind of time for it to die.
It was just time for it to go. But the puzzle's good. If you have time to look at the logic puzzle, this is another easy one that you can turn into your own. Change some numbers around, and you can make this easily a local puzzle for your local neighborhood. And then puzzle number 10, and this is what you get, would be: would you like a tossed Caesar salad?
Aha. The Caesar cipher.
And then you come down and it just gives you
think
a bunch of just random letters, right?
Of course.
This right here at the very end should have been the screaming clue. For everybody. So because I was told that they told you who provided the 10 puzzles for y'all, if
you're paying attention.
If you were paying attention, that the Puzzle Talk crew and Pathfinder 33 had provided the puzzles. Well, if you count the letters here, PATHFINDER 33.
Yep.
And so that should give you your shift.
Yeah, that's your key for the whole thing.
Right. Now, Caesar, I know everybody likes to do these Rot 13s. Historically, Julius Caesar, in his battle correspondence, only shifted his letters 3 positions.
Interesting. I did not know that. That's interesting.
And numbers were not shifted at all. So Caesar shifted all of his battle correspondence between him and his generals in the field by 3 characters.
Yes.
Right? Which is where the Caesar shift comes from.
Right.
So when you scroll down here to the bottom, it says, taking the mystery out of puzzle caches is what we do on the Puzzle Talk podcast. I hope you've enjoyed these puzzles I have made for your competition, Pathfinder 33.
Yeah.
And so Caesar is a rotational shift of 3. So A equals D, B equals E, etc. throughout the alphabet. Numbers are not encoded in a typical Caesar shift. Only the 26 letters in the alphabet are rotated. You have to remember that Caesar didn't speak American English, and he didn't have a 26 American English character alphabet. Are you?
I got a question. So the numbers, though, they didn't use numbers like us either, though. That would have been XXXIII.
That true statement. So are you, Gary? Are you?
I'm messing with you.
Are you checking my grammar?
I am checking your grammar.
So those were the 10 puzzles that were created for the MOGA Mega. I know that we went over a little bit on time, longer than our normal shows.
Mm-hmm. Still very cool.
But this gives the watching community 10 really easy puzzles for you to copy and turn into your own and change them so that you can go out and produce some puzzles in your local caching community. Oh, also, hopefully, has given you some insight for maybe a puzzle cache that you're struggling with on how to solve it. And hopefully you'll be able to
yeah, I love it. Those were great, guys.
I'd say this is why you look at all of them, because your first three kicked my butt. I only looked at each of them for about 5 minutes or so, because I figured that's about all the time you'd have doing in that competition. But I didn't have a clue.
Some tough ones. That's good.
And then, but then after that, I was on a roll with extra butter.
Yeah. But you took a little stumble at the beginning to get started.
Oh,
which we all
stumbled, and I just flat out face planted.
Face plant. Get it back up and keep going.
So, well, there you guys go. We hope you enjoyed the show. Audio listeners, again, if you're struggling to follow along with some of this, please check out the show notes section on the website. Look at the 10 puzzles, and we hope that it is something that you have enjoyed listening to, and we hope it's something that you'll enjoy being able to check out when you have some time to look at the show notes.
So last thing, next Tuesday night is patron party night. So if you're a patron, don't forget to show up, because we're going to have a murder party of, obviously.
It's not kill Tom night.
It's not. Well, we might, but if you die, you can still win the game. So you'll have fun there. So then the 29th and the 6th are other guys, the gadget guys. And then the next puzzle talks are the 13th and the 20th.
That's correct. And guys, if you have an idea for a show, please, Tom is begging you.
I am.
Send us a message.
I can only carry Charles along so far, and he's pretty heavy.
If you've got some ideas for the show, send us an email to puzzletalkpodcast@gmail.com, and or send us a message at Puzzle Talk on Instagram, Puzzle Talk Podcast on Instagram. Either one of those locations will bling the phone, and we will look at ideas for an upcoming show if you're struggling on something, and try and see if we can help you solve a particular style of puzzle.
That's it. Perfect. We'll see y'all next time. Bye, everybody.